Foreplay is often misunderstood as something physical that happens right before intimacy. But the truth is, for many women, foreplay starts long before that moment. It begins with emotional safety, feeling seen, feeling respected, and feeling valued. Foreplay does not begin in the bedroom, and understanding this changes everything about connection and intimacy. For many women, attraction is deeply connected to emotional experience, daily interactions, and the way they feel throughout the relationship. What happens hours, and sometimes days, before intimacy plays a powerful role in whether a woman feels open, safe, and interested. Small moments accumulate, and those moments become the emotional context that shapes desire. When a woman feels noticed in everyday life, her nervous system registers safety. Being asked how her day was, having someone remember something important to her, or showing simple kindness creates emotional warmth. These gestures may seem ordinary, but they signal care and attention. Feeling emotionally seen builds trust, and trust is one of the strongest foundations of intimacy. Foreplay outside the bedroom is about consistency rather than intensity. Grand romantic gestures can be meaningful, but what truly influences connection are repeated, reliable behaviors. When someone follows through on promises, communicates clearly, and shows up emotionally, it creates predictability. Predictability reduces stress, and when stress decreases, openness increases. Desire rarely grows in an environment of tension, uncertainty, or emotional distance. Respect also plays a central role in this extended version of foreplay. The way disagreements are handled, the tone used during difficult conversations, and the ability to listen without dismissing feelings all shape emotional safety. A woman who feels respected during conflict is far more likely to feel connected afterward. Emotional safety is not created in romantic moments alone. It is built in ordinary conversations, especially the challenging ones. Another important element is mental load awareness. Many women carry invisible responsibilities, planning, remembering, organizing, and when a partner recognizes and shares that load, it communicates partnership. Partnership reduces emotional exhaustion. When emotional exhaustion decreases, there is more space for closeness, playfulness, and desire. Feeling supported is deeply attractive because it signals that she is not alone. Affection outside sexual moments matters as well. Gentle touch, warmth, kind words, and physical closeness without expectation help remove pressure. When touch is not always a signal that intimacy must follow, it becomes safer and more comforting. Safety allows the body to relax, and relaxation is essential for connection. Pressure creates resistance, while warmth creates openness. Emotional presence is another powerful factor. Being distracted, constantly on a phone, or only partially listening can slowly erode connection. Presence communicates value. When someone feels valued consistently, emotional intimacy strengthens. Emotional intimacy is often the bridge between everyday life and physical closeness. Without that bridge, intimacy can feel disconnected or mechanical. Validation also contributes to this process. Feeling understood, even when there is disagreement, reduces defensiveness. Validation does not mean always agreeing, it means acknowledging feelings as real. This simple shift creates closeness. Closeness fuels attraction because people tend to move toward spaces where they feel accepted rather than judged. Anticipation is built outside the bedroom too. Thoughtful messages, small compliments, shared jokes, and moments of emotional closeness create a sense of connection that carries forward. Desire is often cumulative. It grows from repeated signals of care rather than sudden effort. When a woman feels emotionally connected throughout the day, intimacy later feels like a continuation of that connection rather than a separate event. Perhaps most importantly, extended foreplay is about emotional climate. Relationships develop patterns, and those patterns shape how safe or tense intimacy feels. A relationship filled with criticism, distance, or unpredictability makes desire difficult. A relationship filled with kindness, reliability, curiosity, and respect makes desire more natural. The body responds to emotional environment more than people often realize. Understanding that foreplay starts outside the bedroom shifts focus from performance to connection. Instead of asking what to do in a specific moment, the question becomes how someone shows up every day. Intimacy then becomes less about effort and more about the natural result of feeling close, supported, and emotionally safe. When daily interactions communicate care, attention, and respect, the foundation for intimacy is already in place long before any physical moment begins. Emotional safety is one of the most important foundations of connection and intimacy. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her mind and body are more open to closeness, communication, and vulnerability. Without that sense of safety, even strong attraction can feel blocked. Emotional safety is not about perfection. It is about creating an environment where someone feels accepted, respected, and free to be themselves without fear of criticism, pressure, or dismissal. At its core, emotional safety means feeling that your feelings matter. When a woman expresses something, whether it is stress, excitement, insecurity, or frustration, the response she receives shapes how safe she feels. Being listened to without interruption, judgment, or immediate problem solving sends a powerful message: you are allowed to feel this. That message reduces defensiveness and builds trust over time. Trust grows when reactions are predictable. Emotional safety is strengthened when someone knows they will not be mocked, ignored, or punished for expressing themselves. Consistency in tone, behavior, and communication creates stability. Stability calms the nervous system. When the nervous system feels calm, connection becomes easier. Desire and intimacy often depend on this calm state more than people realize. Respect is deeply tied to emotional safety. Respect shows up in everyday language, especially during disagreements. Conflict is inevitable in relationships, but the way conflict is handled determines whether safety increases or decreases. A woman feels safer when disagreements involve curiosity instead of blame, listening instead of defensiveness, and collaboration instead of winning. Feeling safe during difficult conversations builds deeper connection than avoiding conflict altogether. Another key element is the absence of pressure. Pressure, emotional, physical, or relational, can quickly disrupt safety. When someone feels that they must respond a certain way, meet expectations, or avoid disappointing a partner, openness decreases. Emotional safety grows when there is room for honesty, knowing that no will be respected, hesitation will be understood, and boundaries will be honored creates freedom. Freedom is essential for genuine closeness. Validation also plays a major role. Validation does not mean agreeing with everything. It means acknowledging that feelings are real and understandable. Simple responses like recognizing effort, acknowledging stress, or showing empathy reinforce safety. When a woman feels understood rather than corrected, she becomes more willing to share deeper thoughts and emotions. This depth is what strengthens intimacy over time. Emotional safety is also connected to reliability. Words matter, but follow-through matters more. When promises are kept and actions match intentions, trust strengthens. Reliability reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty often creates emotional tension. Safety grows when someone knows they can depend on their partner, especially in small everyday moments. Non-defensive listening is another powerful contributor. When someone shares a concern and the response is immediate defensiveness, safety decreases. But when the response is curiosity, asking questions, trying to understand, and acknowledging impact, safety increases. This shift communicates that the relationship matters more than being right. Feeling prioritized in this way deepens emotional connection. Kindness in ordinary moments is often underestimated. Tone of voice, patience, appreciation, and gentle communication all shape emotional climate. Emotional safety is rarely built through one big moment. It is built through repeated small experiences of being treated with care. These small experiences accumulate and form a sense of trust that supports vulnerability. Self-expression is another important aspect. Emotional safety allows a woman to be authentic, to share opinions, desires, fears, and needs without filtering herself. Authenticity strengthens intimacy because connection becomes real rather than performative. When someone does not feel safe, they may withdraw, overthink, or suppress feelings. Safety removes that barrier and allows closeness to grow naturally. Importantly, emotional safety does not eliminate excitement, it enables it. There is a common misconception that safety reduces passion, but for many women, the opposite is true. Safety reduces anxiety, and reduced anxiety allows curiosity, playfulness, and desire to emerge. Feeling secure creates the space where emotional and physical intimacy can coexist. Emotional safety is ultimately about emotional responsibility, how someone responds to another person's vulnerability. When vulnerability is met with patience, empathy, and respect, connection deepens. Over time, this creates a relationship environment where intimacy feels natural rather than pressured. When a woman feels emotionally safe, closeness stops feeling risky and starts feeling inviting, and that shift changes the entire experience of connection. Attention and presence are among the most powerful drivers of emotional connection and desire. Feeling that someone is truly present mentally, emotionally, and physically communicates value in a way that words alone cannot. When a woman experiences genuine attention, she feels prioritized, and that sense of priority strengthens closeness. Presence is not about grand gestures, it is about the quality of engagement in ordinary moments. Many people underestimate how strongly distraction affects connection. Partial listening, constant phone use, multitasking during conversations, or responding automatically instead of thoughtfully can slowly weaken emotional intimacy. When attention feels divided, a woman may feel less important, even if that was never the intention. Over time, repeated moments of inattention create emotional distance. Presence, on the other hand, reduces that distance and builds trust. Being present starts with listening to understand rather than listening to respond. When someone feels heard without interruption, correction, or rushing, it creates emotional relief. That relief signals safety. Attention communicates that her thoughts and experiences matter. This type of listening strengthens emotional intimacy because it allows deeper sharing without fear of dismissal. Presence also involves noticing details, remembering something she mentioned, asking about an important event, or acknowledging her mood shows attentiveness. These small acts demonstrate that she is not invisible in everyday life. Feeling noticed is deeply connected to feeling valued, and feeling valued increases openness and connection. Desire often grows in environments where people feel seen rather than overlooked. Eye contact and body language play a significant role as well. Turning towards someone, maintaining gentle eye contact, and showing engagement through posture all reinforce attention. These nonverbal signals communicate interest without needing explanation. When attention is visible, it creates emotional reassurance. Emotional reassurance helps the nervous system relax, and relaxation supports closeness. Another important aspect is emotional presence. Physical proximity alone does not create connection if someone is mentally elsewhere. Emotional presence means being curious about our experience, asking meaningful questions, and responding with empathy. It involves sharing your own thoughts and feelings too, because presence is mutual. When both people are emotionally present, conversations become deeper and connection becomes stronger. Attention also builds anticipation. Thoughtful messages during the day, small check-ins, or moments of appreciation signal ongoing connection. These signals create continuity. Intimacy feels more natural when emotional connection is maintained rather than switched on only at specific moments. Presence throughout the day helps closeness feel consistent rather than situational. Validation is closely tied to attention. When someone reflects back what they heard, acknowledges feelings, or expresses understanding, it reinforces that attention is real. This reduces the need to repeat, explain, or defend emotions. Feeling understood strengthens trust, and trust allows vulnerability. Vulnerability is where deeper connection develops. Attention without expectation is especially meaningful. When presence is offered without immediately seeking something in return, it removes pressure. Pressure can create resistance, while genuine attention creates comfort. Comfort allows openness. Openness allows intimacy to develop naturally rather than feeling transactional. Shared experiences also strengthen presence. Spending time together without distraction, conversations, laughter, simple activities builds emotional memory. These shared moments become the foundation of connection. Presence during these moments signals that time together is important, not secondary to other priorities. Feeling prioritized is deeply linked to attraction and closeness. It is also important to recognize that presence is a skill that requires intention. Modern life is filled with distractions, responsibilities, and stress, all of which can pull attention away from relationships. Choosing presence means deliberately creating moments of focus, putting devices aside, slowing conversations, and engaging fully. These choices communicate care more clearly than words alone. Attention and presence ultimately send a consistent message. You matter right now. That message has a powerful emotional impact. When a woman repeatedly experiences that message, trust strengthens, emotional intimacy deepens, and connection becomes more natural. Presence transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful ones, and meaningful interactions create the emotional environment where closeness and desire can grow without force. Over time, attention becomes part of the relationship's emotional rhythm. It shapes how safe conversations feel, how valued each person feels, and how easily vulnerability emerges. When presence is consistent, intimacy stops feeling like something that must be created in a moment and instead becomes a natural extension of everyday connection. Consistency is one of the most powerful builders of trust in any relationship. While intense moments and big gestures can create excitement, it is repeated, reliable behavior that creates emotional security. For many women, desire and closeness grow not from occasional effort, but from knowing what to expect emotionally from their partner. Consistency reduces uncertainty, and when uncertainty decreases, openness becomes easier. Trust is formed through patterns. When someone communicates regularly, keeps promises, and shows up in similar ways over time, it creates predictability. Predictability is often misunderstood as boring, but emotionally it is stabilizing. Stability calms the nervous system, and a calm nervous system allows connection to deepen. When behavior is inconsistent, warm one day, distant the next, it can create confusion, which makes emotional openness more difficult. Consistency in communication is especially important. Responding with care, maintaining respectful tone, and staying emotionally available during both good and stressful moments reinforces safety. A woman begins to feel that connection is dependable rather than conditional. This sense of dependability allows her to relax into the relationship instead of constantly evaluating where she stands. Small daily actions carry more weight than occasional grand efforts. Checking in, expressing appreciation, offering support, and following through on simple commitments all signal reliability. These behaviors may seem ordinary, but their repetition builds a strong emotional foundation. Over time, this foundation becomes the reason intimacy feels natural rather than forced. Another important aspect of consistency is emotional steadiness. Everyone experiences stress, frustration, and mood changes, but large emotional swings without explanation can weaken trust. Emotional steadiness does not mean suppressing feelings. It means expressing them in respectful, predictable ways. When reactions feel proportionate and understandable, a woman feels safer sharing her own emotions without fear of sudden disconnection. Consistency also shows up in effort. When effort appears only during moments of conflict or when something is wanted, it can feel transactional. But when effort is steady, kindness, attention, presence, it communicates genuine care. Genuine care strengthens emotional closeness because it is experienced as authentic rather than strategic. Reliability in boundaries is another powerful factor. Respecting limits consistently, honoring preferences, and responding to feedback without repeated resistance builds trust. When boundaries are respected once but ignored later, safety decreases. Consistent respect, however, signals that her comfort matters long-term, not only in specific moments. This message strengthens emotional intimacy. Consistency creates anticipation in a positive way. Knowing that affection, support, and communication will be present allows a woman to invest emotionally without hesitation. Emotional investment grows when there is confidence that connection will not disappear unexpectedly. This confidence supports vulnerability, and vulnerability deepens closeness. It is also important to understand that consistency builds credibility. Words alone cannot sustain trust if actions vary. When actions repeatedly align with intentions, credibility strengthens. Credibility reduces doubt, and reduced doubt allows connection to feel stable. Stability is often a prerequisite for desire because emotional uncertainty consumes mental energy that would otherwise support closeness. Repair is part of consistency too. Mistakes are inevitable, but consistent accountability maintains trust. Apologizing, acknowledging impact, and making adjustments demonstrate reliability even during imperfection. A woman feels safer when she knows that challenges will be addressed rather than ignored. This reliability during difficult moments is often more meaningful than perfection during easy ones. Consistency also reduces emotional fatigue. When behavior is unpredictable, people may overthink, monitor changes, or prepare for disappointment. This creates tension that weakens connection. Consistent behavior removes the need for constant emotional evaluation. With less mental strain, there is more space for playfulness, affection, and intimacy. Over time, consistency shapes the emotional climate of a relationship. It becomes the background experience that influences how safe conversations feel, how easily vulnerability emerges, and how natural closeness becomes. Relationships that feel steady allow desire to develop gradually and sustainably rather than relying on intensity alone. Ultimately, consistency communicates commitment through behavior. It signals that care is not temporary, attention is not situational, and connection is not conditional. When a woman repeatedly experiences reliability, trust becomes internal rather than questioned. Once trust is internalized, emotional intimacy deepens, and intimacy begins to feel like a natural extension of everyday connection rather than something that must be created from scratch each time. Appreciation plays a powerful role in emotional connection because it reinforces the feeling of being valued. For many women, attraction is closely tied to whether their efforts, presence, and individuality are recognized. When appreciation is expressed consistently, it strengthens self-worth within the relationship and deepens closeness. Feeling valued creates warmth, and warmth supports openness. Appreciation is not limited to compliments about appearance. While those can be meaningful, deeper appreciation focuses on character, effort, and everyday contributions. Noticing how she handles responsibilities, supports others, solves problems, or brings positivity into shared spaces communicates that she is seen beyond surface level. This kind of recognition builds emotional intimacy because it reflects genuine attention. Feeling unappreciated can slowly create emotional distance. When effort goes unnoticed, people may begin to feel invisible or taken for granted. Over time, this can reduce motivation to invest emotionally. Appreciation acts as emotional reinforcement, reminding a woman that what she does matters. When effort is acknowledged, connection feels reciprocal rather than one-sided. Specificity makes appreciation more powerful. General praise can feel pleasant, but specific recognition feels personal. Mentioning something particular, a thoughtful action, a quality, or a small moment, communicates that attention is intentional. Intentional appreciation strengthens trust because it signals authenticity rather than routine politeness. Consistency is important here as well. Appreciation expressed only during conflict, after mistakes, or when seeking closeness may feel conditional. Regular, spontaneous appreciation feels genuine. These small moments accumulate and shape the emotional tone of the relationship. Over time, a culture of appreciation creates a sense of emotional safety and belonging. Verbal appreciation is valuable, but nonverbal appreciation matters too. Tone, warmth, gestures, and supportive behavior all communicate value. Acts such as helping without being asked, creating space for rest, or acknowledging stress show appreciation through action. Actions often reinforce words, making appreciation more believable and impactful. Appreciation also strengthens emotional resilience. When a woman feels valued, she is more likely to interpret misunderstandings as temporary rather than personal rejection. A strong foundation of appreciation creates emotional goodwill, which helps relationships navigate challenges with less defensiveness. This goodwill supports healthier communication and quicker repair. Another important aspect is appreciation for individuality. Recognizing her unique perspectives, interests, humor, and strengths communicates acceptance. Feeling accepted as an individual, not just as a partner, deepens emotional connection. This kind of appreciation allows authenticity, and authenticity strengthens intimacy because connection becomes real rather than performative. Public and private appreciation both matter, but authenticity is key. Genuine recognition in everyday conversations often carries more emotional weight than performative praise. Appreciation feels meaningful when it reflects real observation rather than obligation. When appreciation is authentic, it strengthens trust and emotional closeness. Receiving appreciation also influences how safe someone feels expressing needs. When a woman feels valued, she is less likely to fear that expressing preferences will create disappointment or conflict. Appreciation reduces the fear of being too much or not enough. This reduction in fear supports vulnerability, and vulnerability deepens intimacy. Self-expression grows in environments where appreciation exists. When someone feels that their efforts and qualities are recognized, they become more open, playful, and emotionally engaged. Appreciation encourages participation rather than withdrawal. Participation increases shared experiences, and shared experiences strengthen connection. It is also important to appreciate emotional labor, the invisible effort involved in maintaining connection, remembering details, planning, and supporting others. Recognizing this invisible work communicates deep understanding. Feeling understood in this way can be profoundly connecting because it addresses experiences that often go unnoticed. Appreciation does not require perfection. In fact, appreciation during imperfect moments can be especially meaningful. Recognizing effort even when outcomes are not ideal communicates unconditional value. This message strengthens emotional safety because worth is not tied solely to performance. Over time, appreciation shapes relationship atmosphere. A relationship rich in appreciation tends to feel warmer, more supportive, and more emotionally secure. This environment allows attraction to grow naturally because people move toward spaces where they feel valued. Appreciation reduces emotional tension and increases emotional availability, both of which support closeness. Ultimately, appreciation communicates a simple but powerful message: you matter and I see you. When that message is repeated through words, actions, and attention, it strengthens trust and emotional intimacy. Feeling valued encourages openness, and openness allows connection and desire to develop in a way that feels natural, mutual, and sustainable.